It's me, Gillen. Hello, it's Gillen's got Parkinson's. I'm going to show you the Battle of Issus. First part is to put your troops into movable units. If I had all of those hoplites in front of that picture as separate bases, for example, like that, and I threw a 2, I can only move 2 blocks, so I could move 1, 2. So everything else would have to remain still. But by doing that, I now can move that as 1 block. So that's the first thing I'm going to do, is to look through all my army and the army of Darius, and I'm going to work out where I want to start placing my singular blocks. So now I allocate dice. So I allocated black to be the Persians and white to be Alexander the Great. And then I threw the 2d6, and that means 2 things. One, it means that the Persians are going to act first. It means that they can activate 2 of their blocks, but Alexander can only activate 1. I've had a few moves since we last spoke, but the initiative dice, the black and white dice, were terrible. I had 4 throws, that's 4 loss of 2, and the highest I got was a 3. I mean, a lot of moves, difficult terrain, cost you 2 points of initiative. Oh, it was really hard, so hardly anything happened, and then suddenly I've just thrown that. 6 for Alexander, 5 for Darius. So now things can happen. And because of that, I'm going to show you what does happen in real time, rather than just explaining it to you. So those cavalry of Alexander's are crossing the river Issus, but because it's difficult terrain, that costs them 2 points. So that puts that down to 4. And I'm going to measure that, and it's 5 inches for cavalry, and that puts them into contact with those archers there. Can't change the frontage. That would have cost a point, and I would have had to do it before that. So that's what they do. Don't do the combat, don't do the shooting. That's what I do. The range is 2 inches for archers. Now these lads are going to take another 2, because they're on rough ground. They could go up to 5. I don't want them to go up to 5. I want them to go to about, say, there. That's the commander. He doesn't cost me anything. And I've got 2 points left. So I could, the companion cavalry are going to take 2 of my points, because they are now crossing the difficult terrain, and there's Alexander and his aide at the back.
This is a reminder. Dried frog pills.
This video is sponsored by...
This is a reminder. Dried frog pills.
Alexa and Parkinson's pills. Do 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 do. Boom 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 boom. Drum roll. Ta-da! This is the view from Darius' side. He's got 5 points to play with. Spot them there. And you can see that the Macedonian cavalry have crashed into the Ethiopian archers. I don't need to pay points for shooting, and anyone who's in combat's in combat. That's a given, so I don't have to worry about that. But what I could do, because he's actually not in combat, I could use that as a unit, and I can move that up there along the side of there to pay a point to start damaging that flank. Archers are engaged there, so that's not a problem. I don't know if I want to do very much there. I've got cavalry. Yeah, right. Over here we've got the Persian light cavalry. They've got 4 points left, so they're going to spend 2 points crossing the river, and they cross as a block because earlier on I joined them all together to make them into one command unit. So I don't have to do this for every unit now. They're already committed, a bit like I should be, into crossing the river. There you go. So that's cost them 2 points. It's cost them 2 points across the river. All in base contact, that's their commander. So that now leaves them with 2 points. Darius, down here in his chariot, is rightly concerned that the cavalry from Alexander could break through his archers and leave him exposed. So what he's going to do, and because it's a complicated manoeuvre, it costs double. So it would cost 1 point to activate these spearmen, but it's going to cost me 2 points because what I want them to do is to do that, so that they are now facing the threat from Alexander. This is their general. He's going to come over here, and that is the end of the movement. So now we come to the actual fighting, and again it's not terribly difficult, but it's a lot of people get confused about what's happening. So Alexander's cavalry have charged into Darius's archers. Darius's archers get +4 against mounted troops. Alexander's cavalry get +3 against force, because you don't shoot on the way in. You know the big argument about, can I shoot at you on the way in? Well, yeah. And because those archers are firing and those cavalry are charging under a hail of arrows, and the horses are exposed and the men are not particularly well armoured, that plus the actual melee when the two meet, the writers of the rules, WRG, have decided that gives the cavalry a -1, or you give the archers, if you like, a +1. So now when I look about support, both sides are equally supported. The 2 bases at the front are supported by troops touching them at the rear. That gives both sides a support. That doesn't change anything. But because the Macedonians advanced up here, they're now giving a flank threat there. So that gives the archers another +1. So the black dice, when I throw it, is going to be +2. Okay, so the black dice, 8. The white dice, 5. But that's not double. If that had been 4 and that had been 8, that's a base off, but it's not. That rescues them. So that means instead of losing a base, that base goes to the back. And now we fight. Same again. I've done it wrong. I've done it wrong. It's them because they were the ones that were outflanked. Oops, sorry, never mind. Now it's them. So now when we calculate them, they're still +1 because of the archery business, but now the flank attack has gone away. There's no enemy troops in there. So now it's only +1. Still plenty. 7 plays 3. Now, 3 is... 7 is more than double 3. 2 3s are 6. Because it's more than double, that's a base off. Those cavalry are gone. Finito. Which in effect has ended that Macedonian assault. because they've lost initiative, they've lost inertia now. They're pretty much standing still, and they are going to allow the archers to shoot at them. Now I do something here that isn't in the rules. No, what I'm going to say is, because those cavalry, you imagine those cavalry, they've come across a riverbed, they've belted across, they've travelled a long way, they've hit a massive hail of arrows. What's left of them has stumbled into the infantry, who have really given them a bad beating. Those cavalry are not now in a position to carry on a charge. And so I'm going to make them stand still. If they've got archers, they can shoot, but I'm going to make them stand still while they regroup, and I'm going to put a green counter on them to tell me that they are staggered. That's not in the rules. Don't write to a War Games research group and post it through your interdimensional portal letterbox, which will take it back to March 1990 to complain, because they didn't do it. I did, so complain to me. No. So because this is quite interesting, I was going to do moves till something happens. Something's happened instantly. This is the next move. Darius has thrown a 3, Alexander's thrown a... Sorry, Darius has thrown a 2, Alexander's thrown a 3. So, Alexander goes first. This is movement. So the first thing he's going to do, he's going to use a pip, a point of initiative, to get rid of that green. Gone. He's paid for it. It's done. He's dealt with that. Now he's got 2 points left. Because of the way his cavalry are facing, they're staggered, they can't come forward. It take them 2 pips to turn round, and then they've got their backs to him. That's not going to be any good. So they are better standing there, to be honest. And Alexander has got 2 pips left, and he's going to use them to heroically stomp across that river. And he goes 5. Now he's going to put him right behind his own archers. So that's the Macedonian movement. So let's have a peep. For the Persian movement, they've got 2. What they're going to do is continue their charge across the river. I've moved the Persians across the river. There's nobody there. He doesn't have any effect. So now we're looking at archery here. So the archers are in range. Now it's exactly the same principle as if you are in hand-to-hand combat. There's only one combat rule, and you are attacking and defending all at the same time. So the archers are throwing +1 against the cavalry, and that's because it's ranged weapons. The cavalry are stood still on horses. They've not got shields. That's what gives them +1. The difference now is that the white dice isn't an attack back. The best that the Macedonians can do is not die. So if I throw this in here, right, that is a +1. That's a 3. 3 beats 2, but it isn't double. It would have had to have been 4. They are pushed back again. These here, that's a win for them. But they aren't returning fighting, so they can't push them back. All they've done is stop the arrows. They've resolved that situation, and they are no longer staggered. That's it. There's a very strict arc of fire as well in the DBA. Those archers can only fire up there. They can't do that. They can only do that. That's it. And you don't shoot at generals, so that's not going to happen. Over here, Alexander's got 2 bases of archers, and they're facing 2 bases of archers. The extra archers give these a +1. So it becomes 6-6 because the black dice gets the +1 support and the white dice doesn't. It's a draw, nothing happens. And then this base, same again. That is a big win. They still get +1 for support. But now look, 2 threes, 6. So it's half. That's more than double. That is a base off them. There we go. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but that's what's just happened. This is the next move. The Macedonian cavalry rallied. They used a point to rally. And then once they could get moving, they charged the archers. They got absolutely decimated. The Ethiopians threw 2 6s. And Alexander's Macedonian light cavalry threw a 1 and a 3. And then the Macedonians had no additions. And the Ethiopian archers are supported by other Persian archers, so they got +1, so that was bad. So that poor Herbert over there, he's only got 2 units left. Now this isn't in the rules. In the rules it says if you lose a general or 4 elements in 1 turn, that's end of the battle, really. But I don't do that. That doesn't make sense to me. So this is something else I do. I'm going to say that general now is looking very weak, and he charged with a lot of men. He's not got many left. He's got 2 left, so I'm going to throw a d6. Now, if he had 1 left, he's definitely going to get a 1, isn't he? So he has to get more. So if he had 1 left, he would have to get 2 or less. There's 2 left, so he's got to get 3 or less. Yeah. Morale's held. They stay, but they can have that back on because they've just had a serious bothered. They're all over the place, them lads. Alexander rode in and took archery fire with his companions, but they weren't bothered. And then Alexander's own archers managed to give some replying shot. Interestingly here, Alexander's archers there knocked back a unit and they killed a unit. So the unit they killed was here. The unit they knocked back was there. Now the rules say that they have to come back to there, but they can't go back to there because there's men there. So you could do 1 or 2 things here, or 1 or 3 things maybe. You could say, well, they can't do what they've been told, so they've run away, we'll take them off. Or you could say they disrupt the unit behind and make them all higgledy-piggledy and shove them in the middle. What I've decided to do is to make them run away-ish. They're not running away. A runaway would have been a red counter. I'm going to give them a green one to show that they're a bit, let's say, bamboozled by the whole consideration of the thing. So there we are. Ah, well, that's interesting. So I don't know how much sense you made of the bit I speeded up, but that was the turn. So basically, they all Macedonians charged in because it make or break. To be honest, they've crossed the river. They've not had enough points ever to send up a reserve, which they've got a whole phalanx of hoplites ready to follow Alexander, but they're still up the top of the hill. They're up there, look. That's them up there. See if I can show them you. Hang on. Look how far back I have to tilt the camera to find them. Oh, they're up there. Hang on, I'll do it well. That's them up there, look. I had to refocus. What are you doing, lads? Come on. I'm just not getting the command pips. And then you saw from the dice, Alexander is throwing. horrendous dice. So the cavalry charged in thinking, well, come on, we're going to have some good... We've had 3 rounds of combat. We must break them at some point. They got absolutely hammered. He got down to 1 base. He needed to get a 1 to survive morale. He failed. He's on red. He's running away. Alexander charged in with the companion cavalry. They got a +1 to match these guys. +1 each. Fine. Let's go for it. Coin flip. Draw. Bounce back. Now they're left in the middle of nowhere. Then we've got archers here. Destroyed the 1 base that was left. Needed to get a 1 to survive morale. Failed. Ran away. Down here, the Persians are very quickly regrouping because they were expecting the Macedonians to break through here and come swinging round behind them. He's all set to leg it. He'd quite like to keep a couple of command points so he can zoom off. And way over there, across the river, way over there across the river, is the mass of Persian cavalry who are now hoping to threaten Alexander's flank, because Alexander himself is down here. Have a quick look at the field. You'll see some things on the field that are not very Alexandry, but are very wargamey. I'm now walking slowly backwards, hoping I don't trip over a box. Is that the best way to make it look smaller? There we go. That's the entire battlefield. And there is the bit we've been focused on. Down here. There's been a little bit of movement. The Macedonian support phalanx is on its way down the hill. The Persian cavalry are realigning themselves, ready to charge into the Macedonian flank. The Macedonian flank has reorganised to face them. But here is the crucial part. Alexander has charged in with the companion cavalry, and also he's made a big decision, and he has committed himself. This is one of his perks. I say in my game, I've made this up, it's not in the rules. Alexander gets the perk of being in the battle, because he liked it, he loved it. And he's committed himself now, so that gives us another +1 for the Macedonians, but it also means that if the Macedonians lose, Alexander could well die, and that would be difficult to explain in my campaign. So here we go. The archers, well, they're actually slingers now. Oh, looking at them, it's 6mm. It's 6mm figures. I think they've got clubs, so they count as axemen, but they're makeshift axemen. So yeah, they're not firing missiles, so they don't get that +1 for the missile fire as the companions come in. So it's basically equal, +1 because I'm companion cavalry or guard. We both supported, makes no difference. I'm +2 because I've got Alexander with me, +2 to the white dice. Well, thank goodness, means I win. But I don't double it. I put them, they would normally be forced back to there. But as you can see, they can't go back to there because there's troops behind them. So they are going to have to do that, which messes them up. And if Alexander gets the next initiative, which we can find out, he can charge into that gap. Although, it's just getting into more and more trouble. If I come back here, he's just been drawn into that massive clonk. I'm going to call it a collective group of Persians lying in wait, a clonk. But how does he unclonk himself? I don't know. But this is one of the strengths of this system. People who don't like this system probably don't like this. But I do, because it gives you a chance to be a thoughtful commander. So, let's throw the dice. Let's see what happens. Let's throw them down here. Okay, that's gone badly. So Darius has now got 5 command points and he acts first. Had that been the other way around, Alexander could have charged in here. Or Alexander could have used 2 points to turn round and leg it. 3 points, 4 points, 5 points. 5 points would have got Alexander to about here. But 1 point's no use to him. So, he's got 5 points. I could ignore that, and I could go over to the cavalry attack and have a really interesting cavalry attack. But that would let Alexander escape, and I don't want to let Alexander escape. But there's going to be a lot of buts in a minute. But I have no troops near enough to Alexander to hurt him, except for these javelin men. So I'm going to pay 1 point. These javelin men are going to run up and lob pointy sticks at him. Right, well, that pins him. He can't get away now. That's good. That's one thing. Okay then. On a similar basis, those Ethiopians are going to attack that and pin that. So they can't get away now. They're stuck. I'm going to rally them. Okay. I can't do anything with them. Just take the counter off. I don't think I can get near enough for any sort of long-range shooting. So I can't shoot at the front ones now because they're in melee. They move 2, which gives them a shot of 2, but that's not. No, that's not near enough. But I've got 2 left. I could go for that cavalry on the far side. I'm sort of deciding now that I've got 2 points left, and I don't know if I can do much more to hamper Alexander. So I'm now going to see what I can do with my cavalry. They're going to advance. They advance 5, and they have archers, so that'd be useful. A wheel would put them at about there. So I think I'm going to do that. Send the rest up behind. That's still going to leave me 1 point, which I'm just going to use to rally someone somewhere. So the cavalry manoeuvred. There was a few javelins thrown at them. Not really much effect. This is the crucial bit here. So Alexander gets cavalry general. He's on a 5. They are javelin throwers against cavalry. They're a 4. Right, Alexander gets +1. Oh heck. Oh no. Alexander's dead. No! These chaps here, the Ethiopians +1 on the black dice. 5, 4, it is not enough. Now they have to go into them, which disorganises them. You have to go straight back, you can't mess about. Let's do that. Oh, Alexander's dead. Alexander's dead. Well, that means the companions have to test because they're miles away from anybody. So, oh no. There are 2 of them. So they've got to get a 1 or a 2. Nope. Companions flee. Disbelief. Panic. Blind panic. Oh no, what am I doing? They've legged it. Drat. Oh no. So we'll look over here now. the next unit to be affected, those. There's 4 of them. Means they've got to get 4 or less. What the nanas has gone on here? Oh, flipping it. They've got to test. There's 4 of them. Means they've got to get 4 or less. Oh, you wrong, dopey, rotten dopes. Grr. Grr. Yeah, they were really good, the Macedonian army under Alexander. Everyone in history knew they were terrified of them. They were fantastic. They've seen them now. Now here we are, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. On a D6, they've got to get 10 or less. Well, even if they get a 6, they've got 10 or less. That stops the rot, because if they stand, they stand. It's not great, mind, having said that. I've got a big, massive group of Persian cavalry onking towards them. That's all that stands between total ruin and great glory. Oh my word. Come on, Ptolemy. Put your socks up. I don't know what you think to that. I don't know what I think to that. What a mess. What a mess. And the cat next door. Oh, I took a gamble with Alexander. I messed up with the cavalry. The cavalry, I just messed up with the cavalry. Charging archers was a mistake. Charging spearmen, axemen would have been better. Charging archers, coming through all that archery fire before I even got to them. I assumed I'd get to them and I would trample them to death. I assumed very badly. In fact, I would say that's as ignoble a defeat as I've ever suffered. And of course, I videoed it for your delectation and delight. Welcome to the wonderful world of Galen. Hasn't got a clue what he's talking about. Ta-da, Chuck! I always said that DBA rules. Rubbish! Oh, my life is gone.